Hey, Steve here, just checking to see if you can hear me and see me okay. Please let me know in the chat if you can. Let me know if you're on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you are. And welcome. Today we're going to be talking about blues rhythms. We're celebrating my course. We've got a guitar course called Blues Licks. We're going to be showing you all kinds of different licks and things like that. And we're leading up to that with these workshops. So the first workshop that we did, we were talking about 12-bar blues and understanding that. Hey, Jamie. And now what we're going to be doing is talking about blues rhythms, and that will prep us for next week's discussions on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Byram. Let me see who's all here. Kirsten is here. Vic is here. Bjorn is here. Hey, Steve Stein Guitar Lessons is here. Pat Joseph, Eddie Bravo, Preston, Daniel, Linda. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Odd Bird is here. Very cool. Shanna is here. All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. Obviously, there's a lot of people showing up here, so we're going to get started, and I'm going to try and help you a little bit with understanding a little bit about rhythm today. So again, nothing overly exciting, but very important things that you need to know as you keep building your way up. Hey, Dennis, thank you so much. Hey, Henry. Jason is here from South Dakota, and Stephen is here. Jason, I got another Jason from Belgium. Jim, Bob P. is here. David is here. Awesome. Lots of people. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is great. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So basically what we did on Wednesday, on 2 days ago, we talked about the 12-bar blues and setting that up and being able to play a 12-bar blues in both major and minor in any key that you choose. And today what I want to do is try and simplify, if you need it, a bit of understanding about rhythm and more importantly what we call subdivision, really understanding how this works. So when you play songs and you're going to play a rhythm or you're going to strum or you're going to do a solo or something, this will help you out a lot. Hey Cody, hey Kelly, Simon is here, Terry is here, Derek is here. This is awesome. Thank you everybody so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, so what we're going to do today then is let's talk about this. When we first talk about music, the first thing that we learn when it comes to rhythm is we learn to count the beat, right? We think 1, 2, 3, 4, that sort of thing. And then we learn that we've got what's called 3/4 time, right? Where you'd be counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that sort of thing. And these are really the two main things I want to try and focus on today. And it's going to reflect directly on blues, but you can use this anywhere you want. Okay, it certainly works for any style of music. So the first thing we have to understand is that we're either dealing with even or odd when it comes to subdivision. So here's what I want you to think about. If I was playing something and I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that sort of thing. Okay, if I was doing that, okay, what I want to know is what's happening in between those beats. That's what I want to focus on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? See that? So what we want to do here is take those and start thinking about what's happening in between. So when you're listening to a song, you start thinking about the subdivision in between there. Now, think of it as a march. That's what I was trying to explain to students. If you think about it as a march, as straight, going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And of course, if we understand anything about like quarter notes and eighth notes and 16th notes, and we don't need to get complicating on this, but you just have to understand that every time you bump up, you're just going twice as fast as the last thing that you did. So for instance, if quarter notes are this, eighth notes are twice as fast. And if eighth notes are this, 16th notes are twice as fast, okay? And then 32nd would go on and so on and so forth. So that's what we want to be thinking about. So what I want you to understand is either when you listen to a song, you might figure out where you're going to tap your foot or clap your hands or, snap your fingers or whatever it might be. Once you've established that, though, you need to figure out what the subdivision is happening in between each one of those beats. Okay? So if it's even, it's going to feel like a march. It's going to feel straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Dot, 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 right? So basically, when we go to start playing something, whether it's a rhythm, a strum, a solo, whatever it might be, what we have to understand is that we as humans have a limitation on how fast we can do something. So really what I'm talking about at this point is understanding quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And let me show you that. So 1, 2, these would be quarter notes. Eighth notes would be twice this fast. And 16th notes would be twice that fast. As even as I can make them. Okay? So if you get the idea. So when you go to start playing, one thing that you could practice that would be really good for you, let's say, for instance, you're just learning how to play some strumming, right? So you put your downs in. We're just going to do some scratching to this. I'm going to turn off my reverb and delay there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These would be my quarter notes. If I wanted eighth notes, I could do one of two things. Either I'm going to go downward twice as fast, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, or I'm going to go down and up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and I'm going to get the same effect. But here's what you need to understand is if we want to move into the 16th note, which is twice as fast yet than what we're doing right now, we have to really preemptively think about how we're strumming. I want to show you something. When I'm strumming, if I put my quarter notes here, and then I start adding my eighth notes, my other eighth note, by adding up strums in between these downs, which is how I normally teach strumming. There's nothing wrong with this. This is perfectly fine. But if you do that, the one thing that you're going to recognize is that you've already used all of your downs and all your ups. So the only thing you can do to move into the 16th note speed is you're going to have to try and shift, like shifting a vehicle when you shift, right? So if I'm doing this and I go like this, so it's going to feel a little awkward going from the 8th note to the 16th note by doing down, up, 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 down, up. So what I would suggest to you is the first thing that you do is you start getting used to when you put your downs in, they're right here. And if you have an idea that you would be going not only twice as fast, but twice as fast as that, which is what 16th notes would be, the best thing you could do is start doing your 8th notes as downs twice as fast. And if you ever want just the quarter note, you just skip every other one. See, now what's happening here is my arm, my hand, everything is creating a groove. All right? It's like running. If you've ever, done some running or jogging or anything like that, you're creating a motion with your left foot and your right foot that gets you moving. You don't go fast and then slow and then fast and then slow like this because it's very awkward. And of course, even if you could do it, you're going to lose your groove, right? So if we put the quarter notes here and put our eighth notes here, if we want the quarter notes, we don't have to go back to this. We don't have to do that. We can just play every other one. That way, anytime we want, we can add these back in. And the nice thing about this now is we've set ourselves up for doing 16th notes by doing this. See how I can move between quarter, eighth, and 16th very smooth by simply hitting and missing different things versus shifting gears. I'm not going... Okay? Now, I'm not saying that there might not be some point in your world where you might need to do something that I'm calling shifting gears. Maybe there is. But it's just a lot easier if you start off the entire idea with one motion to give you a groove that your body and your arm can feel as you play. Okay? So what we're exploring right now is what we call the straight rhythm. Okay, an even rhythm. We're going to get into swing in just a little bit. That's our secondary rhythm. And again, all this stuff sets you up for the Blues Licks guitar course that we're offering over at GuitarZoom. If you're interested, you can just check it out. There's going to be a link somewhere in the chat that you can take a look at. But it's just over at guitarzoom.com. Now, the nice thing about setting up this rhythm is next week when we start talking about soloing and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna use all of this. And here's my point. Now let's take this idea that I just did one more time with the strumming, and I'm going to move it into soloing. So here's my quarter notes, here's my eighth notes, and here's my 16ths. If I want my eighths, I just go back to the downs. If I want my quarters, I just play every other one. Okay. Now, I could go faster than 16th notes. I could move into 32nd and so on, but there's only so fast that I'm going to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do. And that's what practice is all about, right? Getting better and getting faster and all those sorts of things. But there is a reasonable cap on how fast you're going to be able to do certain things on the guitar. And again, you can excel, because what we're talking about here is twice as fast. So we're not talking about 10 beats per minute faster or 15 beats per, we're talking twice as fast. So when we go to your guitar now, when you start playing, what I want you to think about is if we took something very basic, like let's just say we took the G minor pentatonic scale. What we would want to do is start trying to figure out some ideas, whether it's the entire scale shape that I just played, or whether it's just a couple of strings or a pattern or something that we want to do. And we're going to start trying to implement the idea of the quarter note, eighth note, and 16th note into our playing. So we can feel this motion, you see? So this is where you're going to get into things like hammer-ons and pull-offs and different things like that. As you go faster, you might implement those things to make your motions a little bit easier. So let's just take an idea here. Now, quarter notes are going to be pretty straightforward here. But let's say I just took the middle two strings. I'm going to take the fourth and third strings here. Those two right there. So if I was playing quarter notes, I'd be going... Okay? Not really a problem there. Moving into eighth notes, I'm going to have to decide, do I want to do these as downs or do I want to do these as down ups, alternate picking? There you can see I'm doing those, I'm picking downward. Now I could alternate pick those. Okay, or what I could do, either one of those would work, but as I move into the 16th notes now, I could maybe, play them with downs, but if I wanted to sound really comfortable, the best thing I could do is play them as down ups or alternate picking. You see? So understanding that whatever song we're going to be playing over, we're given a tempo, okay? We've got some sort of tempo to work with. And then what we do is we figure out the beat of the song, whatever this is going to be. And then we start trying to figure out the subdivision. Is it an even or an odd sound? Now, again, we haven't gotten to odd, which is the swing. We haven't gotten there yet. But if it's even, the first thing we think about is quarter note, eighth note, and 16th note. Those are the things that we're going to go to and start figuring out, well, what can we do over the top of this? So if we were talking, for instance, about strumming, and I went back to this, and I'll even make it a seventh chord here. Okay? Now if I wanted to turn this into quarter note, I want to turn these into eighth notes. Or 16ths. See, there's my 16th notes right there. Quarter notes, eighth notes, or excuse me, eighth notes right here, quarter notes here. You see how that works? So as I keep backing up, I can always play less, and it's okay for me to do so. But if I decide I want to move forward into the eighth or the 16th, I can do that very easily by situating the way I'm going to strum these to begin with. Okay? So thinking about a couple of different things here. Number one, the feel of straight, like marching, right? And then the second thing is really understanding your approach as a guitar player, whether or not you're going to be playing these as downs or whether or not you're going to be playing these as alternate picking or down ups. And that's something that you have to kind of figure out, okay? So moving into the swing or shuffle feel, now for our purposes, I'm going to be using the term swing and shuffle as the same thing, okay? There's a lot of discrepancy on the difference between swing and shuffle, and a lot of times people will say it has more to do with the way the drummer is playing. But what we want to do is really just summarize those by thinking about when we talk about a swing, what we're really, or a shuffle, either one of those, what we're really doing is we're talking about a heartbeat. Bum, 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 bum. Just think about a heartbeat. Just that. Before we get all technical, that's really, for me, it's such an iconic way to think of it because we're talking about the blues, right? So when we do this, that heartbeat feel is our swing or our shuffle. Now what's really happening there is we're playing a triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet. Now the 1, 2, 3, 4, the downbeat that we first talked about, the beat of the song, 1, 2, 3, 4, is still there. It's just, what does the subdivision feel like? Does it feel like even 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or does it feel like da 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 da? You see, if it feels going to be straight, and most songs, generally, not just blues, just in general, are straight. But you find a lot of swing feel in jazz and certainly in blues, and you find it in other things too, but you find it a lot in blues, which is why we're talking about this. So really what you're doing here is, if this was my triplet, 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 all you're doing is you're skipping the middle one, triplet, 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 triplet. That's what you're doing to create that bluesy heartbeat sound. You're playing the triplet, but you're skipping the middle one. So it's important to know that because you can always add it back in. When you start playing your blues rhythm, you see, you can add that in. Bump, 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 bump. Anytime you want, you can move into that triplet. So one thing that I really recommend that you do is take some songs that you like, music that you like to listen to. Now, again, if all we're doing is talking about Slayer right now, I don't know that the triplet's really going to do us a whole lot of good in terms of a groove, right? But because we are talking about groove, we're not just talking about groupings of notes or something like that, like guitar players often think about. We're talking about the groove of the song, right? So you got to find some songs that maybe would, or some bands or style of music or whatever it might be, that would pertain more to having this kind of feel, this triplet blues sort of feel. Does that make sense? So that's what you want to try and work with a little bit as you're doing this. Give me just 1 second here. Perfect. Okay, so if that makes sense, what I'm going to do now is let's take that same pentatonic scale, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. And I'm going to play it as a triplet feel. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can tell that when I start playing a triplet, it already is going to feel faster versus like the eighth note, right? If we were putting it against a quarter note, we're going to have 3 notes instead of 2 notes. So when you play something on the guitar, it's going to require you obviously to go a little bit faster, but it's something to get used to. So you're now trying to feel 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Versus 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? What I often do is with students is I tell them to try and learn to emphasize too. Like if you can try and emphasize the 1 of each one of the triplets, you might not really solo that way, but it really does help when you're trying to learn to feel this stuff, okay? So let's make sure that this kind of makes sense. Perfect. Okay, looking good. All right, perfect. Yep, looks like everybody's getting it just fine. So this is great. So that's what I want you to be thinking about today is how you can start trying to analyze. So when you go to play over something, let's say I'm doing... which you might kind of recognize, right? Right, that sort of song, if you know what I'm playing, so I don't get kicked off YouTube here, but... You see? So 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. It's got a straight feel to it, Okay? So we know when we go in, whatever it is we want to play, we're going to be using that straight kind of feel. Where if we had something like, let's take the same band here, and let's do, let's see, we'll do C. Yeah, we'll do D. C to B flat. Yeah, we'll go to B. I'll play it in the right key here. I'm trying to figure out what key this would be in. So we're going to be in the key of E. So if I went like this. Which you might know that song. You can just hear in that rhythm. So when the solo comes, right? Bum, 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 bum. It's got that heartbeat. It's a triplet feel. So bands like AC/DC are going to do things where their songs are a straight groove, and then sometimes they're going to be a shuffle style groove. So either way that you look at it, it's just really important to try and get used to that and how to be able to play those. You recognize those, okay? And so what I used to do, again, I don't teach private lessons anymore, but when I used to, I would have the student, I would just play a whole bunch of different songs for them, and then they would listen to it, and they would try and pick out whether or not it feels like swing/shuffle, right? Or whether or not it feels like it's an even or straight style groove. And it's just really important to be able to do that because that sets up how you're going to strum and it sets up how you're going to solo. Okay? So do me a favor. If you get a chance, head over to guitarzoom.com and check out the Blues Licks course. You can click on the link somewhere around here. And what we're going to do on Monday, I'm trying to remember the order of things, but we're going to be talking about licks. We're going to be talking about, maybe the guys at Guitar Zoom can help me with this too because I know they're on here, but we're doing licks. We're doing the blues scale, how to learn to manipulate both major and minor pentatonic together to get a really authentic kind of blues sound. Because that's really where the blues comes from. Like when I was first learning how to play, I didn't understand that. I just played minor pentatonic all the time. And when I started learning how to sort of combine minor and major pentatonic together, at least in my brain, that's where things start really sounding more like the blues. So I know we've got that one coming too. And then there's a third one. I don't have my notes here, so I don't remember what the other one is, but it's still got something to do with soloing. So if you join me next week, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, or all three of those, at 10 a.m. Pacific, we're going to be talking about blues. We're going to keep going with this stuff, all right? So take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and then hopefully I'll see you again on Monday, and keep practicing, and we'll talk soon.